I used to believe that engagement parties were just a formality, a rehearsal for the wedding, a chance for relatives who don't know each other to practice small talk over finger food. But when it was mine, it felt different. It felt like a stake in the ground. We are real. We are happening. We are building something worth toasting. The invitations had gone out 6 weeks earlier. His mother helped design them. Ivory cardstock, our initials entwined in silver script, the kind of fancy that makes you feel like you're impersonating grown-ups. The venue was a small hall with wide windows and strings of fairy lights that looked magical even when unlit. We put down a deposit, picked a menu, even argued about music until we reached a playlist that could make both his cousins and my grandmother happy. On the morning of the party, I woke with that nervous, excited energy that buzzes in your fingertips. My dress hung by the closet, steamed and ready. I brewed coffee, scrolled through the flood of "see you tonight" texts from friends, and waited for him to come back from his so-called quick errand. At 11:15 a.m. my phone buzzed. A message from my best friend. "Hey, is it true the party's off? Just saw something on Facebook." I laughed out loud. It was such a ridiculous sentence that my brain refused to process it. I typed back, "What are you talking about?" She replied with a screenshot. His cousin had posted, "Sorry everyone, engagement party canceled. Thanks for understanding." I felt the floor tilt under me. My first instinct was to assume it was a prank, a mistake, maybe a post scheduled wrong. My second instinct was rage. Who cancels their own engagement party on Facebook? My third instinct was denial. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Same. I texted, "Tell me this is a joke." No answer. Within the hour my phone became a switchboard. My mother, my aunt, college friends, all calling with variations of the same confused question. What happened? I had no answers. None. Finally, at 1:04 p.m., he texted. 3 words. "We need space." No punctuation. No explanation. Just 3 words that detonated inside me like a grenade. I stared at them until my vision blurred. The hall was already decorated. The cake already baked. The DJ already booked. And yet, with those words, it all crumbled into something that felt both public and humiliating. I changed out of the dress I had been planning to wear. I sat on the bed in an old sweatshirt. I scrolled through social media watching people post, "Wait, what? And are you okay?" on the event page like spectators at a crash site. When he finally walked through the door at 5:30 p.m., he looked like a man who had spent the day rehearsing excuses and finding none that would work. His tie hung loose, his face pale, his shoulders heavy with a guilt that didn't yet sound like apology. "We can't do this right now," he said. "The party?" I asked, my voice brittle. "The wedding," he said, and the words landed like a verdict I didn't know we were in court for. The hours after his confession blurred like watercolor left in the rain. He sat at the kitchen table, fiddling with the edge of a napkin, while I stood at the counter gripping the sink like it was the only thing keeping me upright. "Why?" I asked. The simplest question, the one that carried every other one inside it. He rubbed his forehead. "It's too fast. Too much. I thought I was ready, but I'm not." Too fast. We'd been together 4 years. We'd lived together for 2. We'd split chores, bills, even a cat. Nothing about it was sudden except the way he decided to broadcast it. "You could have told me before the invitations," I said. "I thought I'd feel different," he whispered. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to list every sacrifice I had made in the last months planning this. Instead, I heard myself asking, "So when did you decide to cancel? Before or after you let me pick out table linens?" He flinched. "I panicked this morning. I couldn't face it." "So you let your cousin make the announcement?" He had no defense for that. His silence was louder than any excuse. That night, I lay in bed wide awake, scrolling through pictures on my phone, the dress fitting, the cake tasting, the moment we signed the venue contract. All of it suddenly felt like evidence from a crime scene. By morning, my parents had driven over. My father's face was tight with anger, my mother's with quiet worry. "Do you want us to call his parents?" she asked. "No," I said. "I want him to explain it himself." But he avoided everyone. He went to work, came back late, sat in silence. The apartment turned into a waiting room where I was the only patient, and the doctor never called my name. Finally, after 3 days of this stalemate, I cornered him in the living room. "I need the truth," I said. "Not the polished version. Why did you really cancel?" He looked at me for a long time, then exhaled. "Because when I picture the future, I don't just see you. I see options. I see mistakes I haven't made yet." It was the cruelest honesty I had ever heard. We tried therapy. Of course we did. The counselor asked him what scared him about marriage. He said, "The permanence." She asked me what scared me about postponing. I said, "The erosion." Week after week, we sat in that neutral room, and I felt us erode like cliffs under constant waves. Some days he was apologetic, bringing flowers, making dinner, swearing he just needed time. Other days he was distant, scrolling his phone while I tried to salvage the ruins of my trust. I started noticing details. The way he always turned his phone face down, the way his texts arrived with half smiles he didn't share with me. The paranoia wasn't baseless. I found messages one night, nothing explicit, but full of what if, and I missed the old days sent to someone he used to date. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He just said, "It's not serious. I just needed to talk to someone who doesn't expect me to be perfect." I realized then that I wasn't losing him to another woman. I was losing him to his own fear of adulthood, of commitment, of showing up. Our engagement ring, once a symbol, began to feel like a prop. Some mornings I slipped it off, just to see how my hand looked without the weight of promises. By the 3rd month, I had stopped correcting people when they asked about the wedding. I just said, "We're figuring things out." The vague sentence people use, when what they really mean is it's already over. We just haven't buried it yet. The breaking point came on a Sunday evening. We were supposed to have dinner with my parents. At 5:45, he texted, "Can't make it. Work stuff." I stared at the message and felt a switch flip. I was done being the press secretary for his absence. When he came home hours later, I was already packing. Books, sweaters, the plant that always leaned toward the light. He froze in the doorway. "You're leaving?" he asked. "I'm refusing to be left in installments," I said. He tried to stop me with promises. "I'll change. I'll show up. I'll fix it." But the truth was already too heavy. Change had been an option months ago. Now it was just a word. I moved into a friend's spare room. For weeks, I felt like a ghost haunting my own life. But slowly, the air cleared. I remembered how to sleep through the night. I laughed at dumb sitcoms, without wondering if he'd text. Months later, on the date that was supposed to be our wedding, I baked myself a small cake. Lemon, with a single candle. I lit it, not as a wish for us, but as a promise to myself. Love, I realized, isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about showing up. And when someone cancels without telling you, the silence is the answer. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more.